Hello and continued joyous greetings to you. Tom Quinlan from the St. Joseph Educational Center, uh, joining you and looking at the Gospel reading for January 3rd, which is the Feast of the Epiphany, another Sunday in the beautiful Christmas season. And this story, which is Matthew's Gospel, chapter 2, verses 1 to 12, is a familiar one to most of us. It's the story of the Magi, the three kings who come to give worship before the newborn Jesus. And so it's an interesting story, one that helps us understand the magnitude of the person of Jesus. Evangelist Matthew is framing the birth of Jesus in global terms with a star registering in the sky, communicating to wise men, to royalty from nations far from Judea, that something huge has happened and a very special person has been born. And so, of course, we know the three Magi, the kings from the east, come, and it's said that they prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. So what do we have here? We have three distinct royal people converging by following the star at the place of Jesus. At the beginning of the gospel, they actually go to Jerusalem and they are looking for Jesus, and they announce what is happening, and Herod gets word of this. And he asks them to please report back to me when you find this child. Of course, his intentions are very different from that of the three kings. So the three kings end up finding in Bethlehem little Jesus with Mary, his mother, and Joseph. And Matthew is telling us that these men of great stature and wealth worship before Jesus. They recognize, their hearts are open and their minds are open to the truth of who Jesus is, and they recognize who he is, and they bring gifts to convey their sense of servitude, of honoring this little baby. So we have in them, if you will, one character in this story. And they are juxtaposed against Herod, King Herod, Herod the builder, Herod the Great, who had tremendous power, and yet rules with a sense of anxiety and a sense of control. I would say that he is the opposing force here in this story to the Magi. He has a closed heart and a closed mind, and is only interested in finding Jesus to kill him, to take him out of the equation, because he sees Jesus as he would anyone of power, as a threat to his vested interest, his power in his political position in Judea. So the question I offer us is, do we before God, do we before Jesus prostrate ourselves, lay ourselves flat, surrender who we are before the power of God, and say, you are God, I am not God, I have no interest in being God, I want to be creation of a loving creator, and I give you the gifts of not gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but the gifts of my love, my work and service in the home and outside the home. I give you gifts of some of my treasure to serve those who are in great need out in the world. Do we present ourselves before God with that openness? Or do we, like Herod, approach God with a sense of mistrust, a sense of God is not on my side. God is somehow looking to encroach and take away my freedom, my power, my position. Now, of course, we would look at that and say, well, that's a very silly way to relate to God. But if we are people who are hard-hearted and closed-minded in our work, in our relationships, perhaps there's also a tendency to relate to even God with that hardness, which Herod sadly had, which caused him to be troubled and causes him to be the antagonist in this story, certainly. So the story ends with Magi finding Jesus and giving that homage and giving their gifts and going home a different route, because God, who cannot be confounded, God who cannot be deceived, taught them in a dream to go home and avoid Herod, traveling by a different route. Once again, God is victorious in protecting Jesus in this kind of treacherous early months of his life. God bless you, and continue to enjoy and celebrate the good news of Jesus born into our world this Christmas season.